What's up, guys? I wanted to kind of do a video about this movie that's supposed to be coming out. It's called Moonlight, and I think it's coming out today, which is the 4th of November. And I came across this movie because every so often I would, look at my app, which is called Flickster, and it talks about all of these movies that are coming up very soon. And, I always like to check it out to see what movies are actually coming up that I may be interested in or whatever. And I came across this movie called Moonlight, and I was checking out the preview, and I saw that it was about it was about some black guy, living in Miami. And I was, at first I was kind of interested because I said, here's this movie about somebody doing a, I guess, doing a movie about a guy growing up in Miami. Now, with me being from South Florida, I was pretty interested to see that, of how they would depict someone actually growing up in South Florida, especially in Miami. So, as I'm looking at the preview, and it just seemed like, this guy, he's getting picked on at school, and he's getting jumped and all of that stuff, and it kind of caught my interest because I remember when I was growing up, I used to see guys getting jumped and getting beat up. Thankfully it never happened to me, but to see guys getting jumped by a bunch of guys, that was pretty horrific. So at first it had my interest. And then during the preview, it cuts to the scene where I guess the teenage version of this guy. So, first of all, this movie is supposed to be about three different lifestyles of this guy. And I guess part of the movie shows him as a kid, another part shows him as a teenager, which I just mentioned earlier about the scene of him being jumped and beat up and stuff. And then it goes to a part where he is, and I guess the last part of the movie is about him being an adult. So there's a scene in the preview where it's him and some other guy that's sitting on the beach, and they're looking in each other's eyes, and then one guy grabs the back of the other guy's neck, and um, and the rest I don't know. I didn't see the movie, but I can kind of speculate that this is supposed to be some type of a love scene inside of this movie. So, and it totally caught me off guard. It totally caught me off guard. And after I watched the preview, I said, okay, so I guess this is some type of movie about some black guy that's probably struggling with homosexuality, in the hood. And from what I can tell, is that he moves away, and then maybe he comes back, or yeah, maybe he moves away and comes back, and the guy that he was, having this intimate relationship with, he comes back and he sees this guy like 10 years later, and I guess sparks fly or something. But the guy who is, I guess, who the movie is about, he goes off and he becomes like maybe like a street guy, a thug or something, because it shows him with a mouthful of gold teeth. And usually guys who you see in the streets with a mouthful of gold teeth in South Florida usually mean that they are a street guy. That's one of the more fashionable things, guys with gold teeth in their mouth. So anyway, guy comes back, and I guess it's supposed to be, people are challenging him, or especially the guy that he's in love with or was in love with. He's challenging him to be himself, I guess. So the reason why I'm talking about this movie is not because it's a movie about some gay guys or something. There's plenty of gay movies that are out. There's even a movie about, Forrest Whitaker. He I think he was in love with some transgender guy. It's called The Crying Game. Uh, and then you got movies like Brokeback Mountain and all of that stuff. But what really got my attention was that I see all of um, these I guess these critics, I guess you would call them critics who've probably seen the movie, like Rolling Stone and some of these other magazines, and they've rated the movie to be magnificent, some great love story, brilliant and all of this type of stuff, and it's just like this is a movie about love and all of this stuff. It's like it's like finally we can finally get into we can finally look into quote unquote black love, if that's what you want to call it. But I'm seeing all of these reviews, and it started to bother me because I'm like, okay, well, it just seems like this is some agenda to get passed in the black community, and I'm not, and I'm not a black nationalist and all that type of stuff. But let's address the big elephant in the room here. We know that the homosexual issue is not something that is widely accepted in the black community. Now, I mean, it's starting to become widely accepted in the African American community or the black community because, certain issues that we're dealing with in the neighborhood. So, but it wasn't that the reviews on the movie from Rolling Stone and some of these other media outlets, that didn't really bother me. What really bothered me the most was that there there were black people, in particular black women, who were somehow supporting this movie. So, and I thought that was pretty interesting to see black women actually trying to or wanting to support a movie of this magnitude. And the reason why I say that is because let's not be naive here. We know that there is a shortage of good black men in the community, and that's due to things such as, imprisonment, street violence, uh, you know, promiscuity with a black man. He's, bouncing from home to home, absentee fathers. I mean, you name it. We have a lot of these issues. But to feed into this LGBT agenda, it's like it's another tool to bring the black man out of the home. So it's really interesting for me to see not just black people, but black women in particular to want to support a movie like this. Okay, if because black men are, I mean, black women are always talking about how it's so hard to find a good black man, and black men are always out with different women, and they're always locked up, and they're always just missing or absent. But when I look at this movie and it's promoting the LGBT agenda, it's like you don't think that that is going to bring more black men out of the home. I mean, if you promote the LGBT agenda, especially in the black community with all of the problems that we have with missing black men, that's not going to bring black men back into the community. It's actually going to be a tool that's going to help bring more black men out of the home and away from other women. I think I saw a statistic where black women are like 70% of black women are least likely to be married. And not only that, that 70% of black women are single. And I can believe that because there's a lot of black women, and I mean, I work in an industry to where I see these things, to where I see when a black woman is moving into an apartment community. I'm in the apartment community business, and whenever I'm seeing a black woman move into an apartment community, uh, majority of the time she's not married and she's single. It's just her and her children, or she's with some guy, and the guy is moving in under her name on the lease, and later on down the line, she ends up putting them out. They're not married or anything. So technically, she's single, she's unmarried, she's a single mother. So when I'm looking at these numbers and I'm looking at black women support this, I'm like, do black women not understand what is actually going on here? Like, do they not understand that this will not bring black men back to the home? This actually increases their odds of never being married, never finding that good black man. And I had a conversation with a couple of people on Facebook, especially women, and they're just like, well, it's good to start seeing gay black men get recognition. And I'm like, I mean, you're okay with that? You're okay with more black men leaving the home? The black men that are left, the black men that are not going to jail, who are not being killed in the streets, the black men who are not being promiscuous with more than one woman, those men are now being subjected to the LGBT agenda. And you're totally fine with that. You're totally fine with men who are leaving women and going to be with each other when there's already a shortage of black men anyway. See, I live in Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta is probably the down low capital of the world, where you have men who are straight, or they live straight lives. Some of these guys are married, or they're in relationships with women, or they portray to be straight, single male bachelors, but when nighttime falls, they're calling other men. They're calling other men. And it's like, dear black woman, like, do you not understand that this is not something that is good for the black community? Because, see, the thing is that I'll probably say about 10, 15 years ago and on, black people didn't really take part in the LGBT movement as much as they do now, because they knew the seriousness. We had enough issues that we were dealing with our own community. So to turn around and to support the LGBT agenda, we knew back then that will cause a lot of problems. So what I would like to say to black women is that don't fall for the hype. This is not going to benefit you. Because actually, if you think about it, it takes two men to be in a homosexual relationship. And if one guy is not in a home with you, he's going to have to go out and find himself another man, which takes actually two men out of the home. And that reduces your odds greatly in finding a quote unquote good black man. Now, I'm not some gay bashing guy. I have family members who are homosexual. I know guys who are homosexual personally, okay? Now, I don't agree with their lifestyle. When I say I don't agree, I don't mean that they should be killed or in prison or anything like that. I'm just saying that I don't agree with their lifestyle because this is not something that I would choose. But moreover, I live my life according to the Word of God, and I understand the Word of God, and I know why the Word of God says what it says, especially when it comes to the issue of homosexuality. And it's like I understand it, and this is something that is, you know, it causes various issues in our society. Whether you want to accept it or not, it causes issues. Nothing good comes out of homosexuality. The only thing that comes good out of it is people who are intimate with each other in homosexual relationships. But society as a whole doesn't benefit from it. You know, um, you can't. But when you bring that into the black community, on top of all of the issues that we have, especially with black men, this isn't something that I don't think the average black woman should be supporting. And I really think that black women really need to take some time and think about this for a minute. Really think. Do you really think that supporting the LGBT agenda, especially when it pertains to black men, do you really think that that is something that is good for the black community itself? I mean, I can't see where that is going to be positive for the black community, and that's not because we need to be portrayed as being some tough guys and beat up or hurt anyone who's gay. But if you're already having difficulties finding a good black man, then why would you support something that is actually going to take more black men out of the home? So I want you to ponder that, and it's just my perspective. It's just my opinion on it. Um, if you guys got any comments, comment in the comment section below. But I really want you to think about that, black women. I really want you to think about that, and I really want you to. And one thing I want you to think about is I want you to think about your own relationship. Are you single? Are you married? Are you in a relationship? And how much does this actually mean to you? And if you are single, then I want you to ask yourself, are you okay with maybe being single for the rest of your life? Will you be okay with the fact that you may never find a good black man? You may never be married. You may always be that single mother. And if you're not okay with that, then I want you to really think about the position that you hold when it comes to the LGBT agenda. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video, but it's just something that I want you guys to think about.